I'm suffering. Hi. Yes, I'm suffering from allergies today. So hopefully I'll maintain, myself and not sneeze like crazy. But happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to Women That Shred. We are live. And I know last week I was not around. We had, I think it was a rerun. I'm at that level now. I have reruns, Wendy.
Oh my God.
But everybody, welcome who is here or who is, beginning to join in. I have my special guest, Windy. And is it Lafond?
It's Lafond, yep.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Now, Windy, where are you? Because you and I, this is our first actual conversation. I love about this show. Like usually it's my first time talking to someone.
So I'm actually in Boston, Massachusetts.
Oh, wow. Okay. And I do detect a little bit of an accent.
Well, I'm kind of like a mutt. So I was born in Haiti. I was born in Haiti, and I grew up in New Jersey. And I moved to Boston about, I would say like 6-7 years ago. It's been a while. But
Okay.
yes, from Haiti to Jersey to Boston.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, because I was like trying to figure out the accent. So thank you for clarifying that. And hello, Christina. She just joined us. She's out in LA, and I love Christina because she's a huge fan of the show, and she's not in the mortgage industry, but she just loves the conversations that we have. Yeah, because that's the thing with this show is obviously we're in the industry, but I really love showcasing the person and getting to know Windy and my guest. So in this case, clearly I have you on here because you are the CEO and founder of Genie Notary. So I try not to promote a business too much because I want it to be about you. But at the same time, I think it's so important to talk about your story because I think you're one of the first actual CEOs of their own company that I've had on this show. So obviously, having you be a business owner, there's a lot that I'm sure that you can kind of share with us with that, because that seems really tough. I know I went out on my own and that was really hard. And now I'm back in the corporate world. So
yeah,
Wendy, tell me just even in general how you got into notary and starting your own business.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you so much, Raquel, for having me on.
Absolutely.
So I've been following you as well. And so I have this company, but before so we're a loan signing service, but I was actually I was actually going towards like the first responder route. I wanted to be a police officer, just like my brother is a police officer. I have another one who just got out of the Marine. And so I was going that route. I went to school, got my master's in criminal justice, and I was a full-time EMT. I was also a campus officer at a college right outside of Boston. And so I thought I was going to, like wear the blue with the gun and in the badge. And it just did not go that route. I actually I had a friend who's an attorney, a real estate attorney, and she's like, hey, why don't you just try notary service? And I'm just like, I don't know. And she's like,
that is random. What do you mean? How about, what about notary service did she think?
Well, she did closings. And so she was like, Wendy, how much do you make? And I told her how much I make. Cause like I was working, as an EMT, I did like 13-hour shifts. So 13 hours. And it's brutal. It's physical labor. If you see someone running and they just drop dead, it's you and your partner. And so it's a physical labor intensive job. Yeah. And so I loved it. Right. And even campus officer, like I worked the night shift. And so it's brutal. It's really brutal. And so I just found myself, I was talking to her and she's like, why don't you just try doing closings? I'm just like, what do you mean? I was always a notary, but I just never used it for anything.
Yeah, I was a notary too.
Yeah, I've never used it for like 3 years. I just sat there, and she's like, "Well, just try to do like a loan package for me." So I did it, and at first it was kind of tough, and then afterwards it was pretty interesting. And so I went to clients' homes. I went, one of my clients was, when I was a notary, was CEO of, oh my God, it's a huge, it's a huge gambling company, the
Oh,
CEO of this huge gambling company. Anyways, but I went to his house and I closed his loan. I actually went to the owner of Davio's restaurant. I closed his loan,
oh wow.
and I met a lot of different people, and it was very interesting. I did debt settlement, so I met a lot of people that was going into debt. I met a lot of people who were just filthy rich. I went to the Cape, I went to Vineyards Vine, I went to Nantucket, so I saw a lot of different types of people. And I was just like, wait, I could make my own hours. I can do, 4 or 5 loans closings a day, and I could just take a week off if I wanted to. And so, like I said before, my other interviews, I always say, I quit my job because literally I made more in one day. I was able to pay my mortgage from working one day. So the last day of the month, all the loan officers, they're always trying to get their loans to close. And a lot of times people don't understand that every single loan, it needs to be closed. Someone have to close it, right? Either an attorney have to close it, or a notary, right? A signing agent. But someone have to close that loan, right? And a lot of times when people go through the whole closing process, they only see the realtor and the closer, right? And so they see us, right? They don't see the loan officers. They don't see, like the appraisal. Sometimes they don't see, they see that the inspector, but a lot of times all these people that's behind that one little loan, they don't see any of them except 2 or 3 people, and we happen to be one of them.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't really understand, or it's like, how the heck a notary can make 6 figures, or how the notary can
There might be a ton of people that might leave thinking, you know what, I'm going to be a notary after
yeah.
this.
I mean, so I started doing it. I was a notary. So there's like a difference between a notary and a signing agent. And so a
Okay.
notary, anyone can be a notary, right? But a signing agent, it's they deal with loans and stuff.
Yeah.
um and they execute documents. And so I was fortunate enough to do it during COVID. So nobody wanted to leave their homes, and the banks were closing down their branch. And I don't know about you, but I live in Boston. Even though we're nationwide, I live in Boston. And it was, COVID hit us pretty badly up here. And
Okay.
so people were doing closings, were doing refinances because the rates were low. They were doing refinancing in their garage, outside their home, or online. And they were going to mobile signing agents, mobile signing services like ours. And so it was amazing. It was fantastic. Whenever there's a problem, there's money to be made.
Yeah. Well, that's true, right? That's what they say. Like, what is the problem? Can you solve it? And you were solving a huge problem during COVID. So, did
Yeah.
you already have your actual business during that, or did that turn into you realizing I need to have my own business?
Yeah. So before, prior to COVID, I was literally working full time as an EMT, and then I was working overnight as a campus officer at Curry College, and right outside of Boston. And then literally, I was like a workaholic. I have no kids. I don't have a life, and so I
You
wanted.
have a life.
I have, listen, Genie Notary is our baby. And so I was literally working all the time. And so what I did was, I'm like, let me just do like one closing a day, or one closing a week. And it turned out, I was like, this could be something. So when COVID hit, so Genie Notary Inc. is actually a year and like 4 months old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my
So
gosh. Well, congratulations. So, obviously that leads to what, our topic of the show that we decided on, how to attract clients, because I'm assuming that you probably weren't the only one that decided to start their own business like that during COVID, because the mortgage industry was on fire, right? And now clearly things are starting to slow down with interest rates going up. So now you have to, I feel like, kind of fight for clients a little bit more and find them, a little, you have to kind of
Yeah, yeah, no, actually that's a really good point, Raquel. So we have to pivot, right? So interest rates were so low that we didn't have to go after anyone. They were coming after us, right?
Yeah.
Now refis have dropped. So now we're like, oh shoot, we need to think of a way to move with the waves, kind of like getting on a surfboard, right? And you're trying to stand up and it's wavy and you need to like pivot, right? And so we went from pivoting from refinances to purchase. And so we went after home builders, right? And so let's jump into like the whole marketing. LinkedIn, right? People always be like, "Oh, Wendy, you're an entrepreneur. If you have one advice to anyone, what would it be?" I'm like, three things: YouTube, Google, and LinkedIn. I live on LinkedIn, I live on Google, and I live on YouTube. I spend hours, hours upon hours. I could be on a date. I could be good. I'm so serious. I could be on a
Why
date.
everybody, captions are very important, so that when Wendy's on a date, she has her phone out and you have it subtitled and captioned, she
Yeah,
can actually watch those videos. See?
literally, I'm like at the club, like I'm with my girlfriend, and it's like the music is going. It's like 1 a.m. in the morning, right? And
Yeah.
I'm just like, in my mind, I'm like marketing. So I'm on there, and I'm on LinkedIn because there's nowhere else, right? That I don't have any other social media but LinkedIn. It's my only page, right?
Well, let me ask you this really quickly then, Wendy, because clearly, being someone that does branding and marketing, yes, I'm on LinkedIn, but I'm also on Instagram. I got off of Facebook. But my thing when I talk to people is that it's really important to also share your personal side. And it doesn't mean sharing your personal life, it's just sharing more about yourself and your interest and your passion so that people can relate to you, right?
Yeah.
So I'm curious, why not Instagram or a social media platform like that you're able to kind of be Wendy and show yourself as not that you can't do it on LinkedIn. Obviously, it's shifted on LinkedIn, but I'm just curious because I asked you if you were on Instagram and you said only LinkedIn. And so that's why so do you share personal content on LinkedIn?
So yeah, so my LinkedIn to me it's my all, right? I I like to focus on like one thing. If I'm doing something, I'm gonna like give it 1,000%. I'm going to just focus on it. And so mm, I I'm a brand and I'm trying to build this company, right?
Right.
And so before LinkedIn, I had no social media. I was not online because I like to be in the moment. I like to live in the moment, and I have different sides of me, right? I love to live. I like to go out. I love to travel. I like to go to Jamaica a lot. I'm Haitian. But I like to go to other islands, and I always say if I do something, it's between me. It's between me, Jesus, and I. Like it's no one else will know except who I do it with, right?
Right,
So
right.
I actually pri- I love my privacy, and I love just having a small group of circle, and that's it. Now with LinkedIn, I'm like, all right, Wendy, it's not just about you, it's about a brand. And who the heck are you? Like these people don't know you. And how are you going to like let them know about what are you trying to do?
Yeah.
And so my LinkedIn is a reflection of me in 360. So when I post on LinkedIn to attract clients,
Mhm.
I post me having fun. I post about work, but I also post about like me growing up. And so my company is called Genie Notary Inc. It's named after my mother who passed away from lung cancer. And so that traumatized me a lot.
Yeah.
And I can even say right now that I don't even think I've dealt with that, right? And a lot of things in my life I haven't dealt with, and I feel like I'm just now dealing with them as a businesswoman, because people always ask me, like, "What's your story?" And I've always just been like, "Why does that matter?" But it does, because people want to know who you are. They want to know what your mission, what's your goal, what is your company founded upon. And so, because we are a woman-owned, small business, um and and to me, LinkedIn is, it's the best place to be yourself. Whenever people see entrepreneurs, right? Whenever people see someone successful, they always see the money, the cars, the 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 people who they work with. They don't really see the struggle, right? So last month, about a couple of weeks ago, I posted this thing on my page, and it was, I was going to meet a client, and I drove past this motel, and I was homeless once, and I used to always avoid that route. I used to always avoid it, right? And I was engaged to be married, and it did not work out. And we were trying to have kids, did not work out, and I left him. And he was just like, "Where you gonna go? You only moved to Boston for me. You don't have any family in this state." And I said, "I'm gonna leave you." So I left, and I went to a motel. And I remember that I called my sister, because I was so embarrassed to call my other siblings. And I called my sister, and I told her what happened, and she rented a room for me, right? And so I was driving, going to meet a client, and for the very first time in like 6 years, I did not take a route. I did not take a detour. I drove into the parking lot, and I took a picture of me in the motel behind me, and I posted on LinkedIn. So that is like me sharing to you, right? Like my LinkedIn connection. It's not all glitz and glam. Yeah, I have this company, and we have over 7,000 agents nationwide, but it wasn't easy. And I just want people to see Windy Lafond, Genie Notary, in its entirety, and not just, "Oh, she's an entrepreneur. She's making it. Look at her." Nope, nope. We're struggling. We struggled. It's kind of like the mountain effect. The You only see the top of the mountain. The iceberg effect.
Iceberg, yeah, and below the water, that's where all the
But
struggles, the failures,
but you don't see everything else. And I feel like a lot of people can relate,
oh, absolutely.
to just me being, just like my struggle, my hardship. I think a lot of people would say, "Okay, like I understand why she's always on social media and saying hashtag Janine Notary Inc." Right? I could understand, and I feel like when people can connect with you, and when people can can kind of sort of like you, I feel like then they will maybe give you a try in business and
Well,
will use your
it's
services.
rooting for you, Wendy, because for instance, I had mentioned that you and I have never spoken, so I don't know any of your story, right? So for me,
Yeah,
you're an entrepreneur, you're a CEO, you have a notary company. Okay, big whoop, right? Like there's a lot of us like that out there. But as soon as you just shared your story with me, in that moment I felt like, oh my goodness, like she this is a story of like struggle and
yeah,
championship. And so then it's,
yeah,
I want to root for you, right? So then it's me being like, you know what, I want to give her that opportunity, I want to give her a chance, because she has worked so hard to get to where she's at, and people want to root for those people, right? Like if you sat here and said, oh, you know what, like my parents owned this company and they just handed it down to me, a lot of people might be like, oh, she didn't have to work for it, she literally had it handed to her. And so a lot of people might be like, you know what, I don't want to give her the business.
yeah,
You know what I mean? But the fact that
yeah,
you are where you're at today with all those obstacles, and I'm sure there's so much more that you're not haven't even shared with me, I already want you to succeed,
yeah. Thank
right?
you.
And that's what people forget. It's like if you share that story, then there's people that actually are going to be your cheerleader. Like not
Yeah,
everybody wants,
yeah,
to destroy other people or knock them down. There's a plenty of us that want to lift others up.
yeah, yeah. And that's why like I use it's kind of like I always say, my LinkedIn is kind of like when sometimes people just post like pictures,
Right.
conferences. And it's like, okay, I get it. I post, if you go on my page, I post, sometimes you're like, what is she trying to prove? Like, what is she trying to say? It's kind of like eating your favorite food, like attracting clients and posting on LinkedIn. It's kind of like, okay, you love to post about this one thing, or you like to post about people's blogs, or about people, or about or pictures, or just videos, right? But it's like, give me other things, give
Mhm.
me other content. For example, right? It's kind of like, I love sushi. I
Me
love,
too. That's my
love
favorite.
sushi,
I'll
right?
have sushi one of these days.
Yeah, but I don't want to eat sushi every single day of the week, every single year. Give me Mexican food, give me Haitian food, give me Italian food, right? Not just sushi all the time. So my content, the way I attract clients on LinkedIn is I post, pictures. So I post these things called little secret alerts, right? I just always hashtag like little secret alert, and I always put a picture, and sometimes they're pretty painful when I post certain things about, like, about my mom, right, or about my dad, or about being homeless, right, or whatever. I I put little, like, I post it like once a month or once every 3 weeks, right? I put that out there, and it gets people like, oh, okay, I understand her more. I like to do, pictures me at conferences, like, hey, this is who I'm meeting, right? But I also do videos of Genie Notary. Hey guys, call us, like, right? But I'm not always trying to sell every single post,
And
right?
nobody wants to be sold to. Like, hello, that's the thing, is like, we all no, I wouldn't want to be sold to. I'd be like, ew, this
Yeah,
is kind of like self-serving and gross. And no,
yeah,
thanks.
yeah, yeah.
Just being honest.
Yeah, and then sometimes I don't want to be all pretty and stuff. I just don't want to be all pretty, because it's like sometimes when you see posts and it's kind of like, okay, she's cute or he's hot, but like, what else? Like,
Yeah.
what
Oh no,
about the
that's why
picture?
I'll do videos with no makeup on. Like, I've just woken up. I did one where I still had makeup on from the night before, and it was noon, and I was still in my PJs. But I mean, it's one of those things where, but people can relate to that, right? Like, if it was like 5 a.m. and I'm all dolled up and I'm great, like, there's some people that do that, but not. Let's be real, not
Yes,
the majority of the people don't look like that at 5 a.m, right? Like, they
yeah,
look like kind of
yeah,
crappy.
yeah,
So
definitely.
I appreciate that you do that, because I
Yeah,
feel like more and more of us women, especially, need to show that side of us, so that our younger generations, our daughters are, because I have a daughter who's going to be 18 years old. And I feel that I've had a positive impact on her in that way, because when she posts on social media, which she rarely does, to be honest, she'll post a really cute picture of herself, but she's so funny. The next picture will be an awful picture. She did one where she had gotten her wisdom teeth taken out. She had an allergic reaction to sunscreen and her face was all broken out. She did a picture like that. Like, I love that she's like, hey, I look cute here, but also, like, this is the reality of, like, what I
yeah,
look like sometimes. And to have that kind of self-awareness at that age and that confidence,
yeah,
I think that, I mean, that's huge. And if we can help, instill that in other women and in the younger generations, I think that's fantastic. So yes, keep doing that. And anybody else that's watching this and you're a woman, like, it's okay not to have to look pretty all the time. You know what I mean? We'll still be respected,
yeah,
we'll still be attractive, personality goes a long way too.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
But I wanted to bring something up, because you and I had a little bit of an email exchange, and
Mhm.
I had originally, and I'm a very transparent person, as we were seeing right now,
Yeah,
as you are too. And I had mentioned, maybe you could share being a Black woman business owner in this industry. And I think I made it sound like, it's a struggle, right? And you responded where it's not necessarily you're like, I don't really have, it's not
yeah,
necessarily a struggle. It's more about, hey, it's about who I am in the business I can provide
yeah,
for my clients. And that's what matters. So I want to kind of expand on that just a tiny bit, because
yeah.
I think
So
it's important.
Yeah, so I think now our email, it was something in regard to like what we were like discussing, like what
Yeah,
the topic would be. And it was like, how it is being like a being like African American woman in this industry, right? And I immediately say, some people come to me, or some people's like, oh, Wendy, you're black, or you're a woman, so you're special, so things that come to you easier, or you're going to have more opportunities than someone else who's not those things, right?
really. I would think it would be the opposite, but interesting. Okay.
No, and so and I always say, Raquel, I've never had a client come to us and say, "Hey, Wendy, we need a signing agent ASAP, but we need them to be black." Like no, like
Yeah.
I've never gained clients because I was black or because I was a woman. I wish, if that's the case, I will call you first. I will tell you, guess what just happened, right? Like I would love that, right? But does it happen? A lot of times we gain clients because we're able to do the job, right? Where we do the job and we do it well with a smile on our faces, and the clients call us back. It just so happened that the company is owned by an African American woman, right?
Right.
Um, but it doesn't make it easier by any means, because at the end of the day, you're providing a service, right?
Right.
Chase,
Does
Bank
it
of
make
America,
it harder like and that's where maybe it's also my kind of being naive as well, right? Like just because we
is
are
it?
in a mortgage in the mortgage industry, it's predominantly white male, like let's be real, right? So that's why I was wondering if it was the opposite for you, if it maybe was a little bit more difficult to kind of maybe gain the respect or gain that credibility. I don't know. Once again, it's like it's me just trying to kind of understand more about just your just
My experience.
industry,
So
your experience and the industry as a whole. As
yeah.
like, is it shifting? Is it really like, are we really taking like a great shift and adapting in a way where like more women are in it and more minorities and so forth? That's kind of where I was going with it.
So like I said, like Genie Notary Inc., we're super new relatively. And that's okay. So I can't speak on 5, 10 years ago because we haven't been in it that long, right? We're fortunate. But I've been to, I don't know, like I in the beginning when I was just going to like conferences, I didn't know anybody. And I think that was mostly the issues. Like, hey, it's in this industry, it's all about connections and all about who you know, and who likes you and who wants to do business with you, which is fine. I did not know anybody in the world. That's why I gathered mentors via LinkedIn.
Okay.
And so I don't know if that was part of the issue, but I have in the past gotten a handful of people, a handful who's like, you probably want to bring me on with you, with your company. You probably want to have me as a partner in your company, so that I can represent it, even though you run it. But it would be like their face because they're white, right?
See, and that's where I was wondering if
Yeah,
like you had that
yeah.
kind
Has
of
that happened? Of course it has. And I've gotten who's like, okay, we'll take care of Janine Lottery. You could just be like the pretend face of it. And I'm just like, and I'm just like, oh, okay, interesting. I just never called them back, right?
right.
But we've had that happen. But I think, to me, I'm just like, oh, okay, like good to know. I like to know who these people are so
Yeah.
I can get their true attentions and just move to the next one. But I guess it's part of the game, I would say. But I always try to, I don't like to think about like, oh, someone's treating me like this because I'm chocolate, or it's like, to me it's kind of like taking like the self-pity route,
Right.
right? And so I'm always like, I can't do it with this person or this way. Let me think of a way that I can do it. I can get around that. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do it bigger. I'm gonna do it better, and I'm going to hire more of us.
Yeah.
um, you know. And so I think, I think it has its ups and its drawbacks. Some people, my mentor, or one of my mentors, Byron, always said to me, Wendy, um, follow the path of least resistance. Follow the path of least resistance. There's going to be people who wants to work with you. There's going to be those who do not. Do not cry, do not complain, do not take a moment extra of your time to worry about those who do not. And I took a lot of time before. Oh my God. I was like, why don't you want to work with me? And then it's kind of like knocking on the door, and someone's behind the door, but they're not gonna open it for you. Fine, go to the next door until someone actually crack open the door and see, hey, who is this person? I see it like that, and that's, I think, one of the best advice I've ever received, um, um, uh, from my mentor. He's like, follow the least. He says, when you look at water, when water seeks its way through cracks, right? It does not go where there's no cracks. It just goes somewhere. Somebody may not want to deal with a minority owned company, but they might really want our services, right? And so we attack them like, hey guys, here's our services, and we might work with them, but follow the path of least resistance. Someone does not like you, someone does not want to work with you. It's okay. Somebody else will. And look at us, they do. So
No, I love that. And that's it. And I love like ending on that, because even right now, you sharing your story and sharing more about yourself, this is going to resonate with certain people, and might not resonate with others. And that's okay. There's almost 8 billion people in this world. So you're going to have your audience. I tell people, you don't have to have everybody like you, just like you said. So I love that. And I just love your attitude and your energy. And I truly believe that you are going to, be very successful in whatever you do. I mean, honestly, just like I said, just with your attitude, and you can tell you have a lot of drive, which is really important. And so I love that we were able to at least showcase you and, share a little piece of Wendy. And how can people reach out to you or connect with you?
Yeah, I mean, LinkedIn. That's our open source. I'm pretty sure in the future I will have like a different page, but
Oh,
Raquel, LinkedIn is the best place ever to
I
just
know. I know.
work.
That's how I met Christina, who was on here, Michael Ray, who was on here, Joe, who just popped in, and Joe Wilson, who was like one of my favorite people in the
Yeah.
world. He just popped in. But like, these are all true connections and relationships that I've made through LinkedIn. Like, that, I think, is the most amazing part of the platform. It's
Thank you.
the
Yeah.
actual people that you meet.
Thank you. Yeah, so it's literally, I have a page, Windy Lafond. That's WINDY, and then Genie Notary Inc. But yeah, we are here, and I would like to say that we are here to stay. Hopefully, people, we're here to stay. But thank you so much, everybody.
Oh, thank you. And yeah, I love this, because now I feel like, I have a new friend. So this
Oh
is
no,
like
definitely. Good relationships start on LinkedIn.
yes,
Great relationships start on LinkedIn, and
correct.
that's why it's my number one source of marketing. It's amazing. Check new clients. Amazing, just
Yeah.
amazing.
Well, thanks again, Wendy. We like to keep this at 30 minutes, even though I can always talk forever with my guest. Hence why, I'm a host of a show, because I can talk all day long. But thank you again. And thank you for everyone that popped in the comments, or just watching and maybe didn't comment. It's all good. And if you're watching this on the replay, thanks. And we'll see you all next Wednesday. Have a great week, everyone.